Welcome to the Music Ed Matters podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Emily Williams Birch, and this podcast, it exists for you. Whether you're a music lover, an educator, a choir member, each week we bring guests to the show to help explore what matters in music. I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome to the show. Hi, and welcome to the Music Ed Matters podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Emmy Birch, and today you are talking with one of my favorite people, Dr. Lynn Brinckmeyer. And in this episode, we talk about Dr. Brinckmeyer's brand new opportunity for anyone, whether you are seeking clarity in those first 5 years of teaching, whether you are looking at what's next as you are nearing year 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, I don't know what. We talk about that, but then we also just talk about Lynn and how awesome and what a unique path that she drove to get to where she is today, and the sheer joy and love that comes from having this conversation. So we are super thankful for Perform International for making this podcast possible. I'm really thankful for you listening. And if you want to support the podcast further, you can get bonus episodes and a direct line to me, as well as requesting episodes over at patreon.com/musicedmatters. Okay, that's enough of me. Let's get some joy and talk to Dr. Lynn Brinckmeyer. Today on the Music Ed Matters podcast, we are talking to one of the most beautiful people in the whole wide world, Dr. Lynn Brinckmeyer. Hi, Lynn.
Hi, it's so good to be here. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Oh my goodness, it's such a treat to have you on the podcast, having worked on a committee with you and served under you and seen you shine there, having read your book, having done gigs with you, and just, I'm so excited for the listener to get to know you.
Thank you.
So for those who don't know who Dr. Brinckmeyer is, how did you get into music, Lynn?
I will say that I've loved music my whole life. Probably the first inkling of it was my cousin is 4 years older than me. And every time we would go to her house, which was about once a week, she played the piano from 7 years old. And I would go stand beside her and I would sing with her. And so that every time we got there, within 10 minutes, I'd be over, can you play the piano? Can you play the piano? And we did that until I left Oklahoma, which was until I was about almost 12. And so that was, it instilled such a love. And then my first grade teacher in Kingfisher, New Mexico weighed 90 pounds maybe. And she was teeny, tiny, petite, maybe possibly 5 feet, I think. But she was a master and a power of to be reckoned with, absolutely. And I loved her and decided right then, I want to be her. And I never changed my mind. I've done a variation of her, but I decided I want to be her. And I loved what she did. I loved music. And the only time I ever got in trouble at school was when it was time to go to music. I'd start walking really, really fast, because I wanted to be there, and I'd have to go to the back of the line. And I was afraid I wasn't going to get to play the sticks. And so
That's precious.
I finally learned to walk normally, and I actually got to play the sticks more.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So for all the music teachers out there, sticks are a motivator. And also for all the teachers listening, don't scold the excited musician running in the front. That's so cute. Okay. So New Mexico, music, elementary school, where all have you lived?
Well, I grew up in Oklahoma, then moved to New Mexico when I was almost 12. And I lived there actually all the time and actually taught public school there until I went to get my PhD in University of Kansas. And so that was where my kids were born and my family and everything. So that was the bulk of my beginning training. And my degree in my bachelor's and my master's is from Eastern New Mexico University. So,
and are they both music ed?
The bachelor's is actually education, because I was married at the time and I was trying to get the quickest degree that I could to be in the classroom, but I took every music class I possibly could. I was in choir and all those things, and things didn't work out for that family situation. So after I got a divorce, then I went and completed my master's again at Eastern so that I could teach music. And, I love teaching, but music was that's where I wanted to be.
So cool. What a great, almost non-traditional way to get into music ed.
Oh, very non-traditional. I got married at 16. So, I wouldn't recommend it, but it worked out for me, and we raised our kids and we all grew up together. And so I was very non-traditional. And my bachelor's, when I did get it, it was one class here, one class there, because I was invited to leave school. I wasn't allowed to go to school because I was married. And so, that's the way it used to be. And that was so I, finally did a GED test. I did a year's in night school and a GED test. And it's like, okay, I want to, and I clept the college level examination program. I got my first year of college that way. And so one class at a time. I didn't think I was smart enough to pass college. So I took, my first class was 1 credit library science. I was like, okay, we'll see if I'm smart enough to pass the class. Of course, it was just like this. It was insatiable, the learning that I wanted to do. So and it took me 7 years to
Wow.
get my degree, but obviously I did it.
Hey,
So.
it also took my husband 7 years to get a degree. If you ask him about his bachelor's, and he wasn't even goofing off, Home Slice was just taking his time to get his bachelor's. I got 2 degrees. I mean, we didn't meet until after we had all of our degrees, but like, I had 2 degrees by the time that crazy man graduated from undergrad.
We all have our strengths and weaknesses, and we all, so
But
that's
what
it.
a cool story to like, you had this passion for music and you pursued it in a different way. So, what did you teach first off?
First off was K through 8. So I had I taught in Alamogordo, New Mexico. I actually substituted for 2 years, and I was the music teacher for a semester at Loving, New Mexico. It was right out of Carlsbad. So I was in the public school system for 5 years, but it was when I was teaching in Alamogordo, I was teaching kindergarten all the way up through 8th grade choir.
Wow. Okay. And so then you got the call to go work on your PhD. You go to Kansas. And then what was your job after PhD? Or did you do your PhD in music ed?
Of course, yes, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
and vocal performance minor, but music ed was the calling for me. And then I actually taught at Idaho State for 2 years. I was replacing someone who was getting her doctorate, and I was finishing up my dissertation at that time. And so, I conducted the Idaho State Children's Chorus. Loved the job, but it was somebody else's job at that time. And so I interviewed after those 2 years and got hired at Eastern Washington University, and I was there for 13 years before I came to Texas.
Wow. So you've been in a lot of really cool schools.
I have. I've had that opportunity. Yes.
Yeah, what an awesome opportunity. So your final landing zone was in Texas. You were at Texas State and you were doing children's choirs and all the ed classes and what all were you teaching?
Well, I did all the choral methods components for undergraduate and graduate students who were also going into the music ed world. And I was associate director for 8 years, I believe. Don't remember now exactly. And then I was associate dean. So it's one foot in administration and one foot in teaching. But I didn't
Mm-hmm.
ever want to give up my choirs, and I didn't want to give up the methods classes. So it was my choice to actually teach a little bit of an overload because I wanted to be in those classes. That fed my soul. So
Yeah. Okay. So now we've talked about what's feeding your soul currently because that's so exciting.
it is. I absolutely. I mean, sometimes you talk to people and they say, "Oh, I don't like my job, and I wish I was doing something different." I loved my job. I loved
I
it. I
love
did
my job too.
I had no plans to leave Texas State for quite a while, and life sometimes throws a curveball. And my mom passed, and so I told her before she left that I would leave Texas State and I would move because I lived about 8 hours away from her and my bonus dad, and I was driving back and forth every other weekend. For about 2 years, and that's not fair to the students that I was teaching, but also to my own body
It's a lot of
and helping
driving.
them out. And then, so when she passed, I knew I couldn't continue that. I had to go to help support him. So I moved to Lubbock, Texas, in the west part of Texas, and finished my year there at Texas State so that I could be closer to my bonus dad. And it's the absolute right thing to do. In fact, I was just there yesterday. Okay. It was just yesterday, and so I go there a couple times a week, but it's only a 2.5 hour drive now instead of
Oh yeah.
an eight hour drive. Not many hay trucks to get behind either,
Oh
too.
my
So,
goodness. Hay trucks.
so
That's
that's
crazy.
all good, and because of that, I mean, I had the opportunity. I mean, I'm so grateful that I'm still doing all states honor choirs, clinics for music all around the country, doing some delegations leading to other countries. So I'm so grateful for that, and I wanted to continue mentoring people. I knew during COVID, I was someday going to release Texas State. I didn't call it retired, I call it release. And so I got certified in life mastery consultant as a life mastery coach with Brave Thinking Institute. And I'm so grateful for that because then I'm still mentoring and I'm still helping people create and design the life they love in the classroom or else in their personal home, hopefully both. And so that has been another, I'm becoming an entrepreneur. That wasn't quite on my agenda, but I'm really enjoying it and expanding myself that way. And it's also a blast to continue learning and expanding myself in the life coaching world, which is so compatible. And I'm still getting to use my music and my coaching and things like that. So,
Oh, I love this. Okay, so you get certified in this coaching area and you've had some clients, but you're getting ready to do something really big for teachers specifically.
right. Yeah. In next month, hopefully about the middle of September, I'm launching it's an asynchronous program so that students, teachers, university students or professors, teachers, administrators, their lives are sometimes their schedules are unpredictable. So this is an asynchronous class, and it's called Thrive in Your Classroom and Life. And so you will get the coaching dialogue, or excuse me, the coaching curriculum from Brave Thinking Institute. In addition, then I teach the curriculum with the recording, so you hear audio recordings, and then you also get PDFs and downloads and homework and things like that. And there's a video recording of me teaching those concepts and applying them to the classroom, and so that you can implement some of those strategies and tools with your students as well.
So, who's the type of candidate that would benefit from taking these online asynchronous courses?
Well, I can say my perspective is that especially new students, new teachers, people just starting their career, that first 5 years, absolutely. And many of the clients that I'm working with now one-on-one tend to be those people that have maybe taught 10,
Mm-hmm.
15 years, kind of
They
in
made it past the
mid-career.
5-year burnout, and
Yeah,
now they're at the
and they're
10 to
kind of
12-year
thinking is,
burnout. Yeah.
do I want to do this again? Do I love this? Do I want to get, some are approaching me, I think I want to get into administration. How did you do that? Those types of things. And it helps them for themselves. They're the highest authority on what's right for them. And just sort of, instead of figuring out, is welcoming, this is what I would love. This is what I would love. And looking at the things and changing your thought patterns so you seek out what you would love, not what you don't want. So.
Right. So, like, kind of a changing the frame of reference as you're exploring. So, like, those teachers that are in those first few years exploring how to survive, and then those teachers at different points along the career path exploring how to thrive.
Absolutely. And that how to survive was also what would I love in this first, what do I love this year? What do I love about what I'm doing? Because I know it's so easy to get overwhelmed and burned out. And then,
Oh, yeah.
when I was in leadership with NAFME, where MENC, we tend to lose the teachers the third year to the fifth year.
Mm-hmm.
That's when they leave. It just becomes so much. And how can
Yeah.
you have, and I don't ever call it life balance, but how can you have harmony in the life that you're creating with your career? Because for me, I can work all day on a children's book and I love it, but that might drive somebody else crazy. But that's not work to me. That's I eat that stuff up. But
Yeah.
so that's not work to me because I'm joyful. Some people might want to pull their hair out though, rather than do
Well,
that.
okay, wait. Are you writing a children's book?
Well, before I finish the children's book, I'm actually working with John Dennis. Dr. Dennis works at Texas State, and he's a band director. And so we're writing a book together and how for band directors to teach choir. And actually, I just had your book up earlier today doing some of the
No
references we
way.
were talking.
That's so
Absolutely. Making
cool.
sure that some of the management things that we're looking at for band also are in alignment with the management things that are in alignment with choir, because we're
That's so
writing it with the
funny.
sense that band directors, this is what you know how to do, and you already know how to do this much and
Right.
teach the choir. You already know how to teach rhythm. You already know, there's so many things, and these are the things that will be an expansion of your
That's so
skill
cool.
set.
Well, hey,
So
for
we're
what
working
it's
on that
worth,
first.
not related, but totally related, when we wrote that book that you were just referencing, The Business of Choir, I wrote it in 3 sections because at the time I taught 3 classes in the sequence of music ed at my prior institution. And one of them was secondary methods for band, orchestra, and choir. And so I would break it down to where, like, the intro to music ed was section 1. How do you talk about your value? And
Yes.
then the elementary methods class was the second section. How do you build your people? Because you can't do it by yourself.
If they
And
don't
then
trust
that,
you and love you, they won't do it.
right? No. And then that third section, all about the numbers and making it work, that was what we used in the secondary methods class because it was the one that translated most to all the band kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I was looking at it. We're using it as a reference, so thank you for
So
that.
cool. Oh my gosh, thanks for referencing it. Okay, so you're writing another textbook, you're working on a children's book, you have this awesome course. What is one tip that you can share with us from your coaching training that could inspire us as we are kicking off the school year ahead?
I think the one thing, if people don't remember anything else from any conversation with me, or if they decided to take a class with me or something like that, is notice your thoughts, because they're probably either constrictive or they're expansive. And that's going to determine your life in the classroom, in your personal life. Are your thoughts, and it doesn't mean that we don't ever have constrictive thoughts. When you do, notice them and then flip that script and make them expansive. And so that, I think that'd be the one tip.
Oh, that's such a great tip. I always give the guests an opportunity to say the one thing that matters. But what a great practice for tomorrow. Like, okay, what thoughts are you having? Are they constrictive, and can you flip it and make them expansive? That is so much fun. I am so excited for all the things that you're doing.
Thank you. It's just such a pleasure to be on here. And, I mean, choral music is my my dear love, and my goal is to continue supporting choral music and making sure that all of those students who are coming into the schools still have the same opportunities that I had and that you had, that still is available for them, as because we know how much joy it brings us.
So if someone's listening and they think that this course would be helpful, or they want to seek out private coaching with you, what do they do?
I think the best way to do that is just look me up on Facebook. My name, Lynn Brinckmeyer. I apologize.
Your watch responded. That's awesome.
Thank you. So, I forgot to take it off. So, but to just reach out to me on Facebook, or, my name, lynnbrinckmeyer@gmail.com. Those are the quickest ways. My website is complete. It's not launched yet because I'm operating and I'm learning operator. And right now I want to make sure that the operator here knows how to run the website before I launch it. So but I'm very excited about that. And so,
by the time this episode drops, I bet your website will be live.
I'm sure it will. We're hoping in 2 weeks. And also, I mean, you can look me up at Texas State too. And, you just Google my name at Texas State on their program too in music ed, because I'm professor emerita there. So you can find me there too. So
I love that. You didn't retire, you released it.
Yes, I did.
That's my new favorite sentence. I'm not going to retire. I'm going to release things. Well, I know that I am so excited to just share your positive energy and your joyful outlook on life. And if anyone is listening now and doesn't have that, you totally need to connect with Lynn, because it just is sparkles every single time. And if you haven't checked out her book on advocacy, it is the be all end all for things advocacy. And this is one of many times we will talk on the podcast.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much.
Okay, homework assignment, y'all. What type of thoughts are you having? Are they constrictive or are they expansive? Because what a great way to just flip something on its head instead of trying to just tell your brain to shush. Can you flip it? Also, go check out Lynn's website, because I can't wait to see what it looks like when it does launch. The link is in the episode notes, obviously. I'm so thankful that you're listening. I'm so thankful that we have people like Lynn doing awesome things in our world of music and music education. And so, in case no one has told you today, you matter. We all know that music matters, especially courses and colleagues and people who can help you get whatever it is you need to get in this career. And I'll see you next time on the Music Ed Matters podcast.